studied the implications of national income and sustainable development on the welfare. And then we have studied the economic growth, economic development, and then what is the impact of environmental degradation, and then what are the impacts of emissions on the environment. And then uh, we have tried to learn how the EKC curve work. After that, in the module 4, now we will be learning the externalities and market failure. So in the first module, we have seen the relationship between economy and environment and how they affect each other. So it started with the introduction, and then we have learned the interlinkage diagram. After that, we have asked question that why we need environmental economics when there is classical economical theory. Then we try to answer this question with utility curve function, and then in general also we learn few basic need of environmental economic, which the normal classical economical theory does not answer. After that, in module 2, we have learned the explanation of EKC curve, what are the limitations, including the conceptual limitation and methodological limitations. After that, we have learned what are the indicators of environmental quality the EKC hypothesis uses, and in which cases the EKC holds valid, and what are the cases in which the environmental quality indicators do not hold true as compared to EKC curve. After that, we asked two very important question, that is the EKC curve permanent? Like, is the degradation in emission with increase in per capita income permanent, or is there any chance of further increase in the emission uh, with increase in per capita income after the downward slope also? And then we asks the question that is the EKC curve always follow sustainable path? Do the please excuse me for a while. I hope I'm audible. Please give me a thumbs up if I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you. So after that, we have asked very important question, that is the EKC curve always follow sustainable path? Do the nation follow if a nation follow EKC curve, then what will be the impact on environment? So we concluded that EKC is not permanent, because for in many cases when the downward sloping is not permanent, for those where there is no structural changes but marginal abatement of emission is being done. So for those cases, after certain point, the marginal reduction of emission is not possible. So the EKC curve will follow N type function, where after certain limit the emission will start increasing with increase in per capita income. So that is the answer to EKC. Is EKC permanent? That is, EKC is not permanent. And then second one is, does EKC follow sustainable path? So EKC not always follow sustainable path, because we are not sure that at what time the um, downward sloping starts. So if the environmental degradation is irreversible, then the downward slope will never happen. So there is a need to define the sustainable development other than the EKC principle. So in the module 3, we try to learn the definition of economic growth versus economic development, then what is sustainable development, then economic definition, and the methods to measure sustainable development are covered. After that, we have categorized sustainable development in weak sustainability and strong sustainability. And then we have seen the limitations of both the category and then the policy implication of same. Now, I'll be covering week three lectures and week three lectures and week four lectures, so that you can try solve the coming assignment also. So in week three, these are the outline of our presentation. So, and in week four, we'll be covering market failure, marginal abatement cost curve, supply demand model, and then the cost theorem. So, okay, now what are the ways in which we affect environment? So there are three main ways in which human being affects the environment. First is through utilization of renewable resources. Second, through utilization of non-renewable resources such as non-fossil fuels or any oil and refineries or raw materials from environment. And then the third one is usage of environment as the sink so that we emit various kind of pollutants. So Delhi had given sustainability rules that if we follow these three rules, then the sustainable development will be achieved. So for renewable resources, he said that the stock of renewable sources should be non-declining. That is, the rate of extraction should be always less than the rate of growth, so that at at certain level we give some time for the environment to regenerate itself. So when we extract too much, then the uh, time which we give to the environment will be not sufficient so that they regenerate themselves. So therefore the rate of extraction should be always less than rate of growth. So that is the first rule. Second one I'll be covering in the second slides, next slide. And then the third one is pollution, right? So how much we emit. So the rate of emission should always be less than the absorptive capacity of the environment. Let's say that carbon sink we have in the environment is certain number, then the emission which we do or the rate at which we are emitting should be always less than the uh, capacity which we have. So that is the third principle. Okay, if there is any question in this slides, then you can ask me first so that I can move forward.
No doubts.
Am I clear? If you want to add more points on any of the slide, then you can say so. Okay. So these are the three main principles of sustainable development, that we should give some time for regeneration. We should not we should not pollute in certain way that the sink the environment provide will be less to further carry out the concentration of emission. So these are the three principles. So
Hello, madam. Just one question, madam. I'm Krishna.
yes,
You said
uh,
three principles.
yes,
I see only two principles you mentioned. One
okay,
is related to rate of extraction, other is related to rate of emission. What is the
okay.
third
The
principle?
second one is based on non-renewable resources, which I'll be covering in the next slide.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry, actually, I have to add people again and again. So, Okay. Now, for renewable and pollution, we know that what should be the optimal development path, so that we do not we move in the development in the sustainable path. However, for non-renewable resources, he stated that the total revenue have two components, that is income component and investment component. So the sustainable rule here is that the economy can enjoy only the income component, and the investment component should be reinvested in the renewable resources. So that is what Daly had mentioned. Apology. Okay. So here what we are saying is that alpha is a coefficient and R is total revenue. So some percent of total revenue which we can enjoy. However, other percent of revenue we have to invest in another uh, renewable resources, so that at some point, let's say that from T1 you are utilizing R1 amount, R1 you are investing R1 amount into a certain alternative renewable resources. Then at T2, when this resource get exhausted, then you have alternative similar equivalent amount of renewable stock that you can use. So that is what Daly had uh, proposed. So for non-renewable, the investment should be there with the consumption. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Now, what are the so we have a second component, that is investment component, right? So let's say that if we have certain revenue, then how much percent we have to invest in the renewable sources, so that at certain point we have uh, equivalent amount of renewable resources, or we have some stock in our system that we can use, right? So the factors which the investment component will be affected are: first is, what is the present stock of non-renewable resources? If we have abundance amount of non-renewable resources, then we don't have to worry about the future. So we can just use the resources at present, because we have abundance amount of non-renewable resources. So the stock is dependent. Higher the present stock, lesser will be the beta. So lesser will be the need of investment. However, when there is lesser stock, then there is requirement of investment in the renewable resources. The second one is rate of extraction. If you are extracting at high rate of if you are extracting certain resources at very fast rate, then you should invest in alternative sources, so that after certain amount, when the resource exhaust, we have alternate sources. And the third one is, what is the rate of technological advancement? So when the technology advance fast, then after the depreciation, after the end of life of one of the non-renewable resources, we have alternative technology choice, so that we move towards the other resources, right? So there is no requirement, or there is lesser requirement of investment. However, when the technology advancement is less, or when we don't have any other alternative sources, then we have to invest certain amount, so that in future, uh, so that we follow sustainable path. Next one is discount rate. So discount rate says that what is the benefit of using certain resources at present or at future. If at present you are benefiting more than at future, then the beta will be less. And if in future you have more benefits of usage of this resource, then you should invest, so that in future you get this amount, right? So these are the various investment components. Okay. Now, when we talk about the indicators of economy, we talk about gross domestic product. That gives us the total market value of goods and services which is produced within the country. However, we do not account for the foreign income a country make, or we do not subtract the income which MNC company does in a nation, or a foreign investment is not excluded. Therefore, from GDP, we move towards gross national product. So from GDP, and then we add the net foreign income. So net foreign income will be the net of income which we do outside, and subtracted by foreign income which you are doing in your country. So let's say India is having some income from other countries, then on its GDP we can add that. However, the foreign investment which India is including in its GDP have to be excluded when we account for the gross national product. So net national product will be the current net present value of gross national product. So these are various economic indicators. However, net national product does not account for the usage of renewable resources, extraction of non-renewable resources, and the economics of environmental degradation through various emissions, which the economy does. Therefore, these indicators do not account for the sustainable development path. Therefore, we are moving towards the indicator which is known as green net national product. So, shall I stop for a few questions if you have?
Ma'am,
Yes.
could you explain discount rate once again?
Yes. Discount rate will be like, let's say you have 100 rupees right now, and I said that I'll give you 100 rupees in future. So, which one will have a higher value? Matlab, which one do you prefer? Like, I'll give you 100 rupees right now, or I'll give you 100 rupees in future, if the inflation rate is positive.
The future, getting it in the future would be more beneficial.
Uh, no, because let's say that I give you 100 rupees, right? So what you'll do is, I'll give you 100 rupees. You go to bank and then deposit there. So you will get certain amount of interest on it. But if I give you 100 rupees, then you will not get interest, right? So your value of money at future will be lesser than current. Do you
Yes,
get
ma'am,
my
got it.
point? Therefore,
Yes.
what we do is we discount the future value of money so that we get the net present value. So you'll multiply, let's say that 100 rupees will be equivalent to 80. So let's say I multiply by zero point 0.8 so that I get current value of money. So discount rate will be calculated on the basis of various factors such as interest rate on lending and borrowings, or what is the inflation rate, and also that is another like another set of study. But in basic, it is like that how your money is discounting, depreciating over the time.
All right, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. Uh, Now we are talking about the indicators of sustainable development, which is green net national product. So why we did green net national product? Because in any of this economic indicator, there is no point which says that we are using certain amount of non-renewable resources, or we are using certain amount of renewable resources, which should be accounted in the economy. So that is not being done, or we are emitting certain emissions, so that is also not included. So in GNNP, what we do is from NNP, so net national product minus the economic rent. So economic rent which you pay for the non-renewable resources, and then the economic rent which you pay for the renewable resources, and the emission component. So let's say that uh, if you are emitting delta S uh, amount of pollutant, then the marginal cost of abatement is lambda. So then if you multiply this, then you will get the cost of emission. So if you subtract cost of emission and then this cost of usage of renewable and non-renewable resources, then you will get the actual value of a nation's income. So that will be accounted on the basis of green net national product. So here in economic rent, how it is calculated. So it is covered in the previous lecture. So economic rent will be uh, price per unit. So P1 will be our price per unit of renewable resources, and then the MC1 will be the marginal cost of extraction. So what is the per unit cost of extraction, and then the what is price per unit which you are getting, and then what is the change in stock of renewable and non-renewable resources. So that will be annual production minus annual discovery. So change in stock will be like, let's say that if you are producing a certain amount using oil. Let's say oil, you are extracting oil to produce certain goods. So goods and services. So however, if you if the current potential of oil is X number, and you discover one more oil reserve, then that will be subtracted from annual production. So that will be the net non-renewable stock. So this is how the GNNP is calculated. So here we are trying to incorporate the usage of resources and the cost of emission. So, however, it's not that simple as we see in this formula, right? So here, what we are saying is that we are accounting the delta NR. Delta NR is a change in non-renewable resources stock, and then delta R is the change in renewable resources stock, and then we are saying that emission, right? So there are first problem is that first a single marginal abatement cost is considered. So here we are saying that lambda can be different for different pollutants. In this formula, we are taking lambda as 1. However, cost of abatement of CO2 and SO2 and other pollutants might vary. So that is first limitation. Second is challenges in the calculation of change in stock. Third is the aggregation issues. So aggregation will be like the unit of change in renewable stock and change in first term, second term, and then the this value. So all this value might be different. So therefore, the aggregation can be one of the challenge. And then the one of the basic problem is that this formula do not consider the contribution of biodiversity, as we cannot give the market value to this. So the biodiversity contribution is not included in this indicator. Okay, if there is any question, then you can ask me. Is there any question or any doubt or anything which you want to add upon the uh, current things which I covered for till the indicator one? Anything which you want to add, then you can add. So till now, what we are saying is that Ajay, okay. Is there any question or any suggestion? I would be happy to take that before I move forward, because it's getting one-sided if I cover all my lecture and then do that. So, do you want to do that? Mm, Paul, am I clear? Paul? Yes,
Hello,
yes,
madam.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
See, I have yeah, I have understood Delhi's principle. What is confusing is that Porter versus Palmer.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Something Porter is challenged and by Palmer. Maybe you can discuss that something.
Yeah, that I'll be covering in the coming slides. If you have any suggestions on the current things which I'm covering, then you can add. Let's say that in Daly's principle, can you make some examples or anything which you want to add? Then here are the Daly's principle, and then this is for non-renewable resources, and then the investment component, and then the indicators of economic development, and then the indicators of sustainable development. So this is how much we have covered for now. So I hope that there is no questions. So I'll be moving forward. And sir, I'll be covering the Palmer versus this Porter hypothesis at the end of this lecture, some part. And then in the next part, that will be week 5, which I'll not be covering, but in week 4 part, I'll be covering. Okay. So now, next one is another indicator, which is genuine saving. So genuine saving is given by total saving minus depreciation of man-made capital, depreciation of natural capital, and then the present value of expenditure on education. So from total saving, what are other components which we subtract? Then we get the genuine saving component. So, but what we are saying is that how much part of natural capital which we are using, or which is being depreciated in the growth format. So when this depreciation is calculated by depreciation of non-renewable component, depreciation of renewable component, and depreciation due to usage of nature's assimilative capacity. That is depreciation due to usage of nature's capacity to capture various kind of pollution or various kind of environmental degradation. So by this indicator, we can to some extent say that how the environment is being impacted, and what is the rate of sustainable development. So that will be the another indicator. So after that, we are covering the impact of environmental regulation on firms' competitiveness. So let's say that if we impose any kind of regulation, let's say we have thermal power plant. So for thermal power plants, the emission is being done, right? The CO2 emission is there. However, if the one regulation brings in saying that the emission should be reduced, so then we are saying is that what is the impact of that regulation on the firm's competitiveness, on the firm's uh, per unit cost, or how competitive a firm can be. So in old concept, we say that there should not be regulation because regulation impacts negatively on the firm's competitiveness. So there is always trade-off between clean environment and firm competitiveness, because once the regulation comes into picture, then the financial performance or the cost of production will always increase. So the trade-off between firms' financial performance and their environmental performance will always be inversely proportional. So with increase in environmental performance, or if a firm tries to reduce its emission, then its financial performance will be impacted negatively. So the firm will go into loss if the environment performance increases. So there is always a sacrifice on either environmental uh, cleanliness or on the competitiveness of the market. However, in new concept, Michael Porter and Benjamin London had proposed that by implementation of proper well-designed environmental regulation, the performance of financial performance of firm may be enhanced. So will be when a regulation comes into picture, the firm's profitability increases. That is what the new concept is saying. However, everyone is shocked that if without regulation, when if a firm is getting positive impact by investing in the environmental regulation, then why do the firms not control their pollution voluntarily? Why there is requirement of regulation? So that is the biggest question. So however, Porter proposed that the regulation will result in higher output with a lower degree of pollution. So, what we are saying is that the firm's output will also be increased and the environmental degradation will be reduced. So, the firm are encouraged to invest in um, abatement of emission. So, that is what the hypothesis states, that like let's say that in a static mindset we always think that if a regulation is mandated, like you have certain firm like steel production. So if there is new regulation which says that you need a certain kind of environmental standard, then you will always think that my per unit cost of production will always be increased because I have to spend certain amount of capital in the pollution abatement. So my capital is constant. K is equals to K1 plus K2. That is, first is for production and second is for pollution abatement. So when the standard increase, pollution abatement have to be done. So the profit will reduce. So that is how the static old concept works. But however, Porter had said that there is positive impact of regulation on the firm's competitiveness. So to support the Porter's hypothesis, the first one is that regulation helps the firm to identify their inefficiencies. So, what it is trying to say is that is there any question in between you can ask?
Hello, madam. See,
Yes,
my
sir.
question is the regulation is related to reduction of pollution, but it has got nothing to do with improving productivity, right? How they are related?
Yes. So the big question is that only that the regulation will be uh, according to the reduce in emission, right? But emission will be directly proportional to the production, because when I produce more, the emission will be more, right? So let's say that I have current process of production. So if I change my process because a new regulation comes in which force me to change, and then the per unit emission will be reduced. That is what he is trying to say. The relation between production and emission is because there is always when we increase the scale of production, there is always emission, right? And emission standard is, let's say that emission standard is our regulation. So these are related. So how you are supporting your argument? So that I'll do in the next slides. So did I answer your question?
Yes, madam, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So what he is trying to say is that if a regulation, like let's say that there's a regulation for a power plant to let's say that to have minimum efficiency of certain number. Let's say you have to have a station heat rate of this number, that if you use 1 kg of coal, then you need this much kilowatt hour of electricity. So that is the regulation. Okay. So the regulation is already imposed. If a firm is there, if the station heat rate is, let's say, X number, and if my station heat rate is more than X, so I'm using more coal to produce electricity. But the government is forcing me to reduce the amount of coal to produce the same amount of electricity, right? So what I'll do is, the regulation is there, and anyway I'm forced to follow the regulation. So I'll find any kind of way so that my efficiency is improved. So that is what he is arguing, that regulation will help a firm to identify various way in which it has inefficiency. So in the absence of regulation, firm will not realize its inefficient utilization of various resources. However, when the regulation is imposed, then the firm will try to improve its efficiency, because if they do not go in favor of the regulation, then they have to pay a certain penalty, right? So that is the first argument, that regulation will help me discover various processes or various methods through which I'll improve my efficiency. I'll reduce certain kind of usage of capital in terms of human capital, or I'll reduce certain kind of usage of raw material for the production of same output, or any kind of thing. It depends on the firm which we are taking. So that is the first argument. And then the second argument is that in the traditional view of environment competitiveness, the relationship is biased. So that is called a static mindset. So here we always assume that the uh, let's say that this is the profit function. So profit function is given by P into Q minus C into Q. P is the price which we are getting, and C is the cost of production. So CQ will be total cost you incur, and PQ will be the profit. Sorry, PQ will be the revenue generation. So revenue minus the cost of production will give you the profit. So if you maximize the profit, so you divide with the Q, that is the optimal Q which we get. If we equate it to zero, then we will get maximum profit of a firm. So we are saying is that what we are saying is marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, right? So in a static mindset, any farm, like all the farm is at optimality, like they have optimal quantity and optimal price which is being discovered. So there is no any scope of improvement, or there is no any scope of improvement in the profit. So there is no profit maximization. That is the assumption in static mindset. However, the ideal condition will never be met for a the ideal condition will never be met for a firm, because uh, there is always an infinite set of information a firm do not have, because of which they cannot improve their efficiency, or they cannot optimize their price and quantity, or even if they have this much set of information, they don't have capacity to process it. So the optimality is never achieved. So in static mindset assumption is wrong. Therefore, the regulation will push a firm more towards the higher efficiency and better technology. So that is what the second point in favor of Porter hypothesis is. Is there any question? Is there any question? Okay, now I'll move towards the third point. So third point says that any individual or organization will always have certain kind of inertia that they are reluctant to move towards new technology, new process, or new kind of new setup or anything. So this reluctance and inertia of any firm to avoid risk, or because of reluctance in adoption of new technology and process, will lead to certain kind of managerial inertia. So the regulation, if you impose a regulation, then this will help in breaking the inertia, allowing the technological innovations or innovation in the certain kind of processes. So that is what the third point says. And then in fourth, we say regulation removes uncertainty. So let's say that if I'm given a certain kind of emission standard, right, that I have to emit this number and I cannot emit more than that. So I'm taking the example of sulfur oxide. Okay. So I am a thermal power plant. I have a thermal power plant, and the government set up certain limit of SO2 emission, beyond which I'll be penalized, or I cannot, beyond which I cannot emit. So if the regulation is there, and it's very costly for marginal reduction of SO2, sulfur oxide, then what I'll do is I'll buy a new technology which will absorb the sulfur oxide before emitting in the air. So I'll use some desulfurization technology at my chamber, so that before emitting the air outside my firm, the sulfur will be absorbed, right? So this investment in better technology will only be there if this regulation is there for certain number of years, because I am investing certain amount of capital. So if there is a regulation which is applicable for me for another 5 years, then I'll invest right now so that I don't have to worry for another 5 years. So investment in better technology will always only be happen when there is certainty in the regulation. So that is why in the presence of uncertainty, there is no investment. So the second one is that when there is no, in the absence of uncertainty, of firm will move towards the better processes, better technology, and better products. So that is how I take an example that I'll move towards the better SO2 desulfurization methods, or any kind of technology which the firm will try to optimize, so that I have to fall under this regulation for a long time. But let's say that the regulation change, like let's say right now the standard is X number, and then in the next year they again reduce the standard towards another, and then in the next year the regulation change again. So frequent change in regulation will lead to the tendency of firm to underperform, because the firm will think that if I follow the regulation right now, then they'll reduce the emission standard again to the further lesser number. So when the regulation is changed again and again, then the firm will underperform. However, if there is certainty in the regulation, then the firm will invest in the new technology. So that is what it is trying to say. Is there any question? Okay. Now, in the fifth point, the regulation gathers information which is published periodically. So let's say that if my firm is producing this much certain amount of emission, then I will be concerned, or I'll be avoid that I have my emissions high, or I have negative impact on the environment. So this regulation will again aware the firm about their emissions. And then the sixth point is regulation creates a level playing field. So what is level playing field? So let's say that there is firm A and firm B. So both of the firm will not invest in the cleaner technology, because the cleaner technology or reduction in the environmental degradation will lead to the reduction in their cost, right? So both of them will not do, or if any one of them does, then what will happen is that their profit will be impacted. So without regulation, higher polluter will get undue advantage. So to remove this undue advantage, the regulation will create a similar standard for all the firms, so that they abate their pollution. So it will encourage that anyway they have to fall under the regulation. So the firm will try to reduce its emission. And the in the seventh point, we are saying regulation is required in case of incomplete offset. Let's say that my firm is benefiting because of, let's say, let's take the example of current desulfurization technology. So uh, or any kind of method, let's say that my efficiency is improved, right? Improved by adoption of certain technology. So if there is a firm which adopts new technological innovation, because of which their efficiency is improved. However, total capital cost which it has incurred in the technology will not be collected over the year. So there is always offset. Like if there is offset, then there is need of regulation, so as to force the firm to reduce emission, even when they are not profiting overall. So that is what it is trying to say in the seventh point, that to force a firm to adopt cleaner technology, though the total capital cost they are not collecting over the certain period of time, like total revenue they are not generating as compared to the capital they had invested, then also they have to do. So to force the firm the same, the regulation implementation is required. So that is what it is trying to say in the seventh point. So in all this, if you have any doubt or if you want to add something, then we can discuss. Yes, Pujarini, are you there? Pujarini? Okay. Anyone else? Vinod?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Surabhi Vinod, ma'am.
Okay. Surabhi, am I pronouncing right? Surabhi?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any point to add, or anything which I want to
No
clear?
points to add, ma'am. No doubts.
Okay. Okay, so I hope I am at the right pace, but in some cases I over-explain, so I apologize for that. So, Krishna sir, do you want to add something? Is your doubt clear? Like why Porter?
No, Madam, Porter hypothesis is clear, but there are some challenges to Porter. Someone
Mm,
is challenged, so
okay,
that's what I would like to hear. Yeah.
sure. Okay, I'll try to cover in the next few slides. Okay, now what are the limitations of Porter hypothesis? So what Porter have has done is that he had collected the data of hundreds of firms who are benefited because of investment in the cleaner technology option, and then they get they got profit. So they are in the money after investing in certain kind of technology. However, Porter hypothesis is an empirical study. So there are another set of economists who showed that there are another 100 firms who are in loss after investment in clean technology. So just because you show certain case study, you cannot be true. So that is one of the first argument against the Porter hypothesis. Then the second one is that they collected so that is what. However, like next one is that the Porter hypothesis do not have theoretical framework to support it. So that is another thing. Next is that economists collected cases in which they so that is the one. Then next one is Porter hypothesis said that there is a cost saving or there is in the money case when the regulation is imposed. However, there is no talking about the appropriateness in which technology, in which form, or what is the cost that they will save, what is the cost which will be incurred. So that there is not no discussion about the same. So that is one of the limitation. After that, they say that Porter assumes that the cost of regulation is zero. After imposing cost, there is no cost which after imposing of regulation there is no cost which the firm have to incur. However, in real there is always a cost of regulation, and then there is no mention about the amount of benefit. And then last one is that he is assuming that it is a lunch or it is a free lunch which a regulation is given. So there is one regulation which brings in and then you are benefited. So that is not the case in real. So that is few of the arguments against the Porter hypothesis. So now if we summarize, then Porter indirectly is trying to say that regulation for pollution abatement should be market based and not of command and control type. So what is market based and what is command on control type? So command on control type is that a regulated framework in which the authority fix certain amount of emission and the usage of certain technology. So let's say that the emission limit is fixed or adoption of certain technology is fixed. So here if a firm have more scope of reduction in emission, they will not do because they are anyway under the limit of emission. So they'll not further try to reduce the emission because there is no incentive to further reduction in emission. So in command and control type, overall efficiency is not achieved. So in market-based instruments such as emission tax, tradable pollution permits. Like let's say that certain emission limit is set. Beyond the emission limit, if you are emitting, then you have to pay some penalty. However, if you are reducing the emission below the emission limit, then you will get some credit which you can trade or which you will get as a profit. So that is kind of a carbon tax. So the carbon tax will be like a firm will have X number, let's say 10 tons of CO2 can be emitted by a firm. However, if a firm produce 11 ton, then they have to pay penalty for 1 ton. However, if a firm reduce its emission to 9 ton, then they will get incentive on the reduction of further 1 ton. So that is how the market-based instrument works. So uh, this will allow the this will incentivize the um, investor to further participate in the emission reduction and abatement processes. So that is the overall concept which the Porter hypothesis is trying to say. So we should bring in certain types of market-based instrument so as to reduce the overall emission. Okay, am I clear? Okay. Can any one of you answer this question? The reinvestment of the revenue generated from extraction of non-renewable resources depend on.
All of the above, madam.
Yes. So as I have discussed, the reinvestment in the revenue generated from extraction will be dependent on the rate of extraction, present stock, as well as the pollution which is there, right? So the correct answer is all of the above. Am I clear? Okay. Okay. The second question is, which among the following is true in favor of Porter hypothesis? So the first option is traditional view of environmental competitiveness relationship is based on static mindset. The regulation helps break the existing managerial inertia. Then third one is a dynamic setup supports the trade-offs between environment and competitiveness. Then D is all of the above, and then only A and B. So you can put in the chat if you yes, yes. Okay, yes, correct. So as we have discussed that Porter hypothesis uh, supported its argument by saying that the static mindset or traditional view of seeing the relation between environmental competitiveness is based on static traditional view, that is static mindset, where we assume that the profit is always maximized by a firm. And then the second one is that the regulation helps break the existing managerial inertia, right? Yes, correct, correct. So thank you for your answers. Okay, so I think it's clear for everyone. And next one is, so if you remember, what is the depreciation of natural capital equal to? So natural capital will be calculated, right, to find the genuine saving. So yes. Mm, of course. So we are adding up the depreciations, so it should be always plus renewable energy, non-renewable energy, and then the utilization of nature's assimilative capacity. So if you sum all this, then the you get the depreciation of natural capital. Okay, so I'm happy that I'm getting more answers. So I think you are many of you are listening. Okay, so then I'll move towards the next question. I think. Okay, so now this is the end of week 3 lecture. So in week 3, we have learned about the indicator of sustainable development, and then uh, we try to incorporate the usage of renewable and non-renewable stocks in the total economy indicator. And then genuine saving is there. After that, we try to uh, understand Daly's principle of sustainable development, and then Porter's hypothesis. What are the arguments in favor of Porter's hypothesis, and then the arguments which are against the Porter hypothesis, or what are the criticism which Porter hypothesis received, right? So these are all few of the uh, things which we have learned. So one of the important takeaway which is not emphasized much is that Porter hypothesis is indirectly trying to say that we need a market-based instrument so that a regulation is there. However, the firm is given incentive to reduce re, uh, further below the emission standard, so that for the further reduction limit, they can get the credit. So they can trade the credit with those firms which have high emission limits. So that is the interpretation of Porter's hypothesis. So now we will move towards the marginal abatement cost curve. So till now, if there is any question, then you can ask. Uh, I think I'm clear. Now, what is marginal abatement cost curve? So here, okay, thank you. Okay. So here, what we are trying to say is that what is marginal abatement cost? So we are trying to learn. First, I'll explain that marginal abatement cost is change in cost of reduce abatement cost, change in uh, abating certain emission and change in quantity. So uh, del cost upon del Q will be our abatement cost, right? So marginal abatement cost curve is upward sloping. So why it is upward sloping? So here what we are trying to say is that when the emission is very much, the reduction, the per unit cost of per unit reduction is low because there is higher scope of abatement. So for any firm, if it emits a lot of emission, then their abatement cost is lower. However, if a firm had already reduced its emission to this level, let's say that this is my X level, then this for this firm, it's very hard. Okay, now let's say that for certain quantity of this is the amount, let's say cost A which a firm is incurring. However, if I reduce X1 amount, then I the cost which I am incurring is A. However, if I further reduce my emission towards X2, then my for reducing in same amount of emission, my abatement cost will be higher. So the reason is that let's say that a power plant is there. Okay, so the power plant is not efficient, then making it efficient and then reducing the emission will be easier. However, if a power plant is already efficient and it does not have it already reduces abatement to X2 level, let's say, then further reduction will be very costly for them because they have to go towards other technology or they have to go towards other processes which will be higher. So that's why the marginal abatement curve is upward sloping. So if there is any question, then you can ask. So for additional unit of reduction in the pollutants, the cost will be higher than the previous unit. So that is what it is trying to say. Any questions? Okay, so now I'll move towards the okay. Now I'll move towards the next slide. So now what? Let's say that I'm a regulator. Okay, so I impose a carbon tax or emission tax. So I impose the emission tax. If you emit, so this is my tax. Okay, this is P is my tax. For per unit, like unit wise tax is P number. So if marginal abatement cost is less than the tax value, then the firm will choose to abate its emission rather than paying the tax, because I'm saving this much amount of area, right? So this is my saving if I go towards the pollution abatement. So I don't have to pay tax if I reduce the emission. So after this point O, I had to pay tax this much. However, my cost is higher. This much is cost which I'm incurring. So beyond this point, then I'll choose to uh, pay tax rather than abating the emissions. So this X star will be optimal level of abatement a firm will do with the given amount of tax P. So if I increase the P, let's say that P towards the P1, then what will happen? Okay, so if I uh, increase the tax, then what will happen? So can I get answer? Like it's obvious, but still I just want to. What will happen to the optimal abatement level? What will happen to the extra in the second case? Uh, okay, so this is my new tax, which is I increase my tax from P1 to P2. P2 P1, let's say, then my this optimal level of abatement will be this much. Okay, from X star I'll get X1 star. I hope I'm clear. So till this point, till X1 star, the firm will choose to abate its emission. However, after X1 star, the firm will choose to pay tax. So I hope I'm clear. Is it clear? Mm, Vinod, Surabhi, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So that is how the marginal abatement cost curve and emission tax works. So now the firm, let's say if, there is a firm who tries to reduce its emission. Okay. Mm, so this is my initial marginal abatement cost curve. However, I adopted new technology, and now my MSC curve is this one. So through by investment in the abatement technology, my abatement cost curve is having different slopes, right? So for each unit of for let's say that this was my previous A, however, this is my A1. So for each unit, I am having lesser amount of abatement cost, right? So A, B will be when there is no investment. A dash, B dash are cost which I'm incurring after the investment in the new technology. So let's say from here, let's say OA, O, O1A, O2A, let's say O1A is higher than O1A dash. O2B is higher than O2B dash. So by adoption of new technology, by investment in new technology, the cost saving will be there. That will be A dash to A and B dash to B. So if you are reducing the emission by O2, then your cost saving will be A dash to A and sorry O1. And if you are reducing the emission till O2 from here to here, let's say, this will be like 10 CO2 equivalent emission. Then my cost saving will be B dash to B. So here the benefit of investment is that it is triangle OBF. Okay, so this is my triangle OBF. So this is total, like till my optimal, like till the condition, okay, till the condition where the carbon tax is there. So I'll try to abate the cost till B, so that my tax is equal to the B is the point where carbon tax is equal to the abatement cost. After this, so now from triangle BFC, this will be the curve which the firm will further reduce. So if so till point of X2 star, the firm will try to reduce its emission. So X2 star is the amount of emission which a firm will reduce. So then this triangle BFC is the credit the firm is getting. So total benefit will be OBF plus BCF. That is OBCF. This whole triangle is the benefit which the firm is getting for investment in the new technology. So, is there any question like, shall I repeat it, or is there any point which you missed? Then I can clear it again. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now my total benefit is OBFC. This total area will be my total benefit after investing in the abatement technology. So that is how we have arrived. Now we are taking a case. Okay, now we are taking the case where tax rate is increased. Okay, so I already explained that if I increase the tax rate from P1 to P2, this is my tax rate P1 as well as P2. So at P1, the optimal abatement is X star and B is my optimality point, right? However, I increase the tax towards the P2. So my H point will be the point where optimality is achieved, and this X1 star will be the level of pollution abatement beyond which I will choose to pay tax. So this will be when the marginal abatement cost curve is without any investment. However, let's say that I invest certain in a certain technology and I achieve this MAC star curve, that is this one. Then my in the initial state, this point C will be my optimal point in the second case when I'm choosing to invest in the technology, and this is my optimality point, right? And then at D point is the one for the new tax rate. So when the tax increase, I'll move from C to D. in the case of new marginal abatement cost, and in the case of old marginal abatement cost curve, I'll move from B to H. So now what we are trying to say, like which one is better? Will I choose, okay, between B and C, which one is more beneficial for me? Anyone between B and H, which one is more which one will I choose between B and H, or which one will have lesser cost?
B.
Sorry.
B will have lesser cost.
Yes, we will have lesser cost, right? Between C and D, which one will be better? Like which will have lesser cost?
C.
Between C and D.
Yes, C, ma'am,
C,
because
right?
new investments.
Yeah. So new investment case is there. Still, I'll choose to pay lesser tax, right? So C, B, and C are my choice, right? Because I'm imposing less cost. Okay. Now, between B and C, between B and D, which one is better? So by let's say B is better than H, okay, C is better than D, and B is better than D, right? B is better than D. Then by law of transmittivity, B is better. Sorry, uh, okay, by yes, this 2 point is only there. Okay, B is better than H, C is better than D, and between uh, H and C, which one is better? Between H and C, this is my along the same abatement. B is better than H, and C is better than D, and B is better than C. B is better than C. Okay. So from here we can say that B is better than D, right? Because B is better than C and C is better than D. So what we can say is that point B is better than point D. Am I clear? Okay. Shall I repeat it one more time? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Please
Okay,
repeat.
I'll repeat it one more time. Okay. What we are saying is that in the old, when there is no investment, okay, so between B and H, I will choose B, right? Am I right? And between
Yes, ma'am.
C and D, I will choose C. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And between B and C, I will choose B. Okay. Between B and C, I will choose B. Therefore, what I can say is that B point is much better than D point. D point is that I invest in there is two thing in D, okay, D. I invest in new technology, and the tax rate is high. Okay. Even then, it is more beneficial for a farm to have lesser tax rate and lesser abatement. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I hope I'm clear. So out of all these 4 points, B is the optimal point. Therefore, what we can conclude from this is that after increasing the tax rate, after setting certain kind of regulation also, if the marginal abatement cost curve is not less enough, if the technological cost is high, then the firm will be at loss. So that is what it is trying to say. Okay, matlab I increase my tax rate, right? Still, then the previous tax rate is better for me than increased tax rate. So this is the one which is to challenge the Porter hypothesis. Okay, so Porter hypothesis said, right, that stringent regulation will leads to the investment in cleaner technology. I had invest from MA to MA star. However, my profit without investment is more than the with investment. So therefore, this is proved by Palmer et al. So they said that it is not profitable even with the stringent regulation if the innovation is not profitable. So that is the conclusion which the after Porter hypothesis, Palmer et al. Had concluded that even after the stringent regulation, it will not be profitable for the firm to invest in the better technology. Okay. If there is any question in this slide, you can ask. It was little confusing because I also got a little bit confused, but right now it is clear. So if you want to add some point or if you have any questions, then you can ask.
Madam, basically, I I understand. The Palmer's hypothesis
Mm-hmm.
of contradicting Porter's hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
So to put it in layman's language, what it means to me is that if you are not uh, in efficiency conscious and innovative,
Mm-hmm.
uh, even with or without regulations, you will not be innovative even after implementing regulations. That's what it is saying, correct? So what you're saying, what Palmer is saying, that organizations have to be naturally to be innovative, to
Mm-hmm.
adopt technology.
Okay. Uh, no, that is not the final conclusion. Palmer is saying that even if a firm is, uh, let's
If
say
you are
that,
not innovative,
uh,
even after regulation, you will not be you will not be productive. Even with
yes,
yeah,
yes,
maybe
yes, yes.
maybe you can, yeah, help.
Even after regulation, a firm will incur higher cost. So they'll not be profited even after the stringent regulation when the cost of technology itself is high. So that is what he is trying to say. Am I clear?
Okay, okay, madam, got it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Now we will move towards the supply demand curve. Before that, if any one of you have any question, then you can ask. About the Palmer hypothesis versus Porter hypothesis. So, in a way, Palmer is trying to say that what Porter is saying is wrong because if the cost of technology is very high, then the firm will be in loss. They'll not be benefited after stringent regulation. So, that is what they have proved from this graph which we discussed. Okay, now I'll move towards the supply demand curve. Okay, so what is supply curve? First is a demand curve, sorry. So demand curve is, let's say that my x-axis is quantity and my y-axis is price per quantity. Okay, so for the first unit of quantity Q1, I am willing to pay, let's say P1 price for first unit. After that, let's say that for fifth unit of the same quantity, Q2, I am willing to pay only P2, which is lower than P1. After that, with increase in quantity, I'm willing to pay lesser price. So this is my P3. So this is how the demand curve is shown. So the demand curve is downward sloping because of reduction, because of diminishing marginal utility. So let's say you have 10, let's say you have one shirt. So for the first shirt, you are ready to pay 1,000 rupees. But for the second shirt, you will be like, I have one, so I'll choose to pay 800, not more than that. After that, if you have 10 shirts, then for the additional one shirt, you will not be ready to pay more than 200 or 300. So that is called diminishing marginal utility. So that's why the demand curve is downward sloping. Now, what is supply curve? So this is for buyer. Demand curve is for buyer and supply curve is for the sellers. So for sellers, let's say that if I'm getting 10 rupees, then I'm ready to sell 3 unit of a quantity. Okay, if 3 unit of a quantity. If I'm getting 15 rupees, then I'm ready to sell 5 unit of a quantity. If I'm getting more money, I'll sell more quantity. If I'm getting more, then I'll sell further more. So therefore, the supply function is upward sloping. So what the point? Each point of supply here, here, here. This is the point represents the willingness to sell. So that at what price you are willing to sell. So that is the point. Let's say point A represents the price at which a seller is willing to pay sell quantity Q1 and so on and so forth. So the supply function gives us willingness to sell at a certain point, and then the demand function gives us the willingness to pay. So for the first unit of a quantity, you are willing to pay higher amount. However, with increase in the quantity, you are willing to pay lesser amount. So therefore, you get this two curve. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, now what is a market? Okay. So market is the medium or institution which facilitates the transaction between buyer and the seller. Let's say that I am willing to buy a shirt. So who will give me shirt? So someone else is there who is not willing to sell shirt, but he is willing to sell computer. But I need shirt. So a group of buyer, group of seller come together in a market which facilitates the transactions. So that is a market which facilitates both the buying as well as selling quantities. So market can be physical markets such as fish market, vegetable markets, or any kind of shopping malls. However, market can be virtual such as electricity market, stock market, or let's say real estate business market, which you can do online transactions. So these are certain types of market. Then what is institute? So institute is a set of rule. So market is also have its set of rules to exchange, set of rules for the buyers, set of rules for the sellers. So therefore, market can also be termed as institute. So in the initial lectures, we have categorized economy as market, institute, and economic agent, right? So market can also be an institute because it has a set of rules. Then the objective of market is to allocate goods and services to all the buyers and sellers. Okay. So now what will be the optimal goods and services which is being allocated? Okay. So this S is my supply curve and D is my demand curve. So the optimality is obtained at the point where the supply curve and demand curve meets. That is my point A. So this is my optimal quantity Q star, and this is my optimal price P. So P star. So P star and Q star I are the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity which will be traded in the market. So the condition is that uh, at equilibrium, the Q demand into P and QS into P will be equal. So supply and demand uh, supply from seller will be equal to demand. So at this point, then you discover optimal price and optimal quantity. So I hope this is clear. Okay. Is this clear? Anyone wants any more explanation, or you want to add anything, then you can do. Okay. Now, what is consumer surplus? What is producer surplus? Okay. Now, I'm again going here. Let's say that at point here, let's say at point um, for quantity Q1, I am willing to pay P1. However, I am getting at the price P star because market have single price, single clearing quantity, right? So I am getting any quantity at P star price. However, I am willing to pay P1 amount. So from this point K I am writing, and K1. K to K1 is my surplus amount. Okay. Then let's say at Q2, I'm willing to pay L. However, I'm getting at L1 price. Okay. So from L to L1 is my surplus. So if I sum all this whole area is the consumer surplus. So the buyer is willing to pay higher. However, they are getting at lower price, which is P star. So therefore, this is my consumer surplus. Similarly, at Q1, a seller is willing to sell at B point, right? I am willing to sell at a price, let's say that P3. However, I am getting more price, that is P star. So from P3 to P star, I'm getting more price. So this B2 point K1 is my surplus for the seller. So this whole area represents the producer surplus. So the total social surplus, or like if there is transactions happening in the market where consumer and producer are the only participants, then we can say that the consumer's social surplus will be the sum of consumer surplus and producer surplus. So the willingness to pay is higher. However, I am getting at the optimal price P star, or the willingness to sell is at lower price. However, I am getting higher price, that is P star. So therefore, the overall area represents the surplus, social welfare or social surplus. So I am I think I have explained it. So this blue area represents the consumer surplus, and the green area represents the uh, producer surplus. Okay, so consumer are buyer and producer are seller, and this is Q star and P star are my optimality, and yes, that's it. So if you have any question, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
madam, the term surplus uh, it reminds me of Karl Marx concept. But in capitalism, we use the word profit. You know how surplus, for example, if you focus on producer surplus,
Mm-hmm.
how it is related to profit?
It's actually not related to profit, but what we are trying to say is that uh, for let's say that if you are in market, okay, so you are trading electricity, so you will give bid by bid bid by bid uh, price versus quantity, right? So let's say that for quantity Q1, you are ready to pay P1. So with increase in quantity, you will choose to pay lesser price. Okay, so that is how the demand curve works. So, however, a certain price is discovered in the market, so that will be my optimality. So I am ready to pay higher amount. That is like per unit, I am ready to pay 8 rupees, but the market discovered per unit price of 5 rupees. So this 3 rupees is extra, like that's why it's called surplus. So it's based on the willingness to pay and willingness to receive, like willingness to uh, generate at certain price. So that is what it is trying to say. A surplus is because you are willing to pay higher, but you have certain amount extra which you are getting. So let's say that you have a car, okay, so you are looking for buying a car, uh, any car, you are ready to pay 10 lakh rupees, but you are getting at 5 lakh or 7 lakh, let's say. Then this 3 lakh is the surplus, which the this concept is trying to say. Like, so is it clear? So in the
Yeah,
market, yeah.
I have got it. But from a producer point of view,
Mm-hmm,
the surplus is that the producer is able to get produce at a lesser price,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. So
Okay.
let's say that for a producer, this is my fixed cost, right? I'll not be ready to produce at lower than my fixed cost, right? This is my fixed cost.
Yes.
So, however, even if my variable cost is high, I'm ready to sell you because some percent of my fixed cost is getting like right now I'm not getting certain number, but for a lesser quantity I'll sell you at lower price. So therefore, with increase in quantity, the producer will increase his price. Am I clear?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So,
Got it.
like, let's say that I am a power plant producer. Okay, so my fixed cost is 3 rupees. So 3 rupees तो मुझे चाहिए चाहिए. But in my variable cost, even if I do not get my variable cost, I am fine. But 3 rupees is minimum price which I want. But beyond 3 rupees, like, but I cannot sell all the time at 3 rupees, right? Because then to I'll be at loss. So for higher quantity, I'll try to sell at higher price. So that is what it was trying to say.
Okay. Okay. Okay, madam. So why I am this term is interesting to me is the word surplus is
Hmm.
used in a Marxist economy,
Okay, okay.
socialism, Karl Marx, Capital,
Mm-hmm.
where the profit is considered as a taboo. So they use this surplus value is exploited by
Mm-hmm.
producers, factory owners. I don't know many way. Anyway, I got it.
Okay,
So
I have to connect those things because I don't know exactly about the Karl
yeah,
Marx capital theory.
sure.
So
Thank you,
if you
madam.
want, then I can cover in the next class by studying
Yeah,
it.
maybe briefly read it because I am interested actually.
Sure, sure. I'll
This,
try to read and then I'll answer this question
yeah,
again
sure. Thank you,
if I
madam.
miss
Thank you.
something. Okay. Now, the social welfare will be the let's say that consumer surplus is total willingness to pay minus actual payment, right? And the producer surplus is actual payment minus total willingness to receive. So the social welfare, if I cut the actual payment by adding a consumer surplus and producer surplus, then I get total willingness to pay minus total willingness to receive will be my social surplus. Okay. Now, okay. Uh, okay, now I'll not cover the next part of the lecture because I have very few slides more. But I want to make you help you with the few sample questions for the next assignment. So week 4 assignment you have to do, right? So for week 4 assignment, I want to cover uh, few of the questions. So if you know the answer, then you can put in the chat box, or I can explain you so that we cover few of the things here. So okay, now do you know market failure and what are the mechanism to cure the market failure? So market failure is when the market fail to achieve its objective, that is to find the optimal. Okay, market failure is the role of market is to efficiently allocate the resources, right? However, market failure happens when there is inefficient distribution of goods and services in the free market. So, in this case, the market failure uh, is because of externality, imperfect. Market failure is because of externality, improper price signal, such as price signal for environmental goods and services, and then imperfect market, such as market power is in the hand of certain consumers or sellers, or like such as a monopoly market, or when the market rules are not uh, transparent, then also the market failure will happen. So market failure happens then there is no equal distribution or efficient distribution of resources. So the question here tries to ask what are the ways in which we can reduce the market failure. You can put your answer in the chat box. The reasons for market failure The reasons for market failure are because of improper price signal, imperfect market, or because of externality due to environment. So the solution should be okay. I got one answer, which is E, and okay, okay. I got answer from 2 people. Any more who wants to try? You can do. I'll present the screen one more time. Okay, okay. Okay. Thank you. Uh, Okay, so as I have mentioned that the market fails when there is improper price signal or because of the environment, the externalities are not included, or because of the imperfect market where the market is not competitive, right? So the strategy should be making the market competitive or internalizing the externalities, and then the government interventions so that they set up certain set of rules so as to reduce or null the market failure. However, point 3 is incorrect because in a competitive market, the information symmetry is important, because when there is information asymmetry, then the market failure happens. Information asymmetry means that I know better processes to reduce the better processes to improve my efficiency. However, other firm don't know. So then I'll be more benefited rather than that, right? So then this will lead to market power, or this will lead to the favorism for one firm. So that's why the correct answer is E. Okay. Now second, market failure can be defined as situation where, so okay. Hmm. Yes. So the objective of market is to allocate resources efficiently. However, when the market failure happens, then the market will fail to allocate resources efficiently. So that is the correct answer. And other are not correct because market fails to enable the seller. The objective of market is not to optimize the profit of seller, so which is incorrect. Market enable buyer to gain utilities, incorrect. And market encourage people to take risk, so that is not the uh, okay. Now next is marginal abatement cost curve is upward sloping because, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I got answers from you. So yes, as we have discussed before, right, the marginal abatement cost is upward sloping because for every additional unit of abatement, the cost of abatement becomes costlier than the previous unit. So that's why it is upward sloping. So the correct answer is this one only. Now, I think you have covered the cost theory, right? So I'll just give you an overview. But if you have to solve the assignment before the deadline, that is 21, I guess, then you have to learn it thoroughly. However, today I tried to cover it, but it's not possible because of time constraint. So Coase theorem states that if there is well-defined property right, so there is. Okay, so let's say that the objective of market is to maximize the social welfare, right? So, what are the conditions to maximize the social welfare? So, the first condition is that market should be complete. That is, every transaction should have market, or market cover all the transactions. So, that is the one condition. And second is property right should be well defined. So, what is property right means like, so all the goods and services must be either owned by private entities or a public entity, but all the property should be owned by certain kind of person. So that are two conditions so that the social welfare is maximized. So uh, uh, in if these two conditions are met, then the efficient allocation of resources happens. However, if there is inability to allocate the property right properly, or there is inability or unwillingness of certain government or certain entities to assign the property right, or because of externality, the market failure will happen. So the property right is important. So that is what we are trying to say. So the market fails in the case of environmental goods and services because these goods and services cannot be given property rights. So let's say that a clean air or air. So there is no property right of clean air, or there is no property right of like big forest or anything else, right? So if the property right is given for a certain entity, then the market may function better. So that is what it is trying to say. So the features of well-defined property right is that all goods and service must be either owned by private entity or public entity. Then all the benefits from good must be enjoyed by owner of the good. However, if the costs they have to incur, then the owner have to incur the cost of goods and services. And then the third one is goods and service can be transferred from one person to other person so that the owner is incentivized to maintain the quality of goods and services. And then the fourth one is the property right should be secured by certain law and order. So these are the features of property right, right? So cost theorem states that if there is well-defined property right, then the transaction cost, and if the transaction cost is free, then efficient bargaining between polluter and pollutee will happen, which will result in efficient amount of pollution. The pollution will not be zero. However, pollution amount will be optimized if there is proper bargaining between polluter and pollutee is there. So the objective of cost theorem is efficient level of pollution without government interventions. So he's saying is that what he's saying is that there is no need of government interventions. However, there is need of well-defined property right. So uh, so that is the cost theorem. Okay, I'll explain it further in the next session, but I want to ask this question, so therefore I ask. So, fourth question, cost theorem asserts that now I just said the cost theorem, but I want the answer for the same. Question number four. Question number four. Uh, okay, I'm getting. Okay, I got answer from Pujarini. Any more answers? Okay, okay. So that is what I've just said, that cost theorem is a cost theorem proposed that when there is a proper property right defined, then the efficient emission will happen, optimal emission will happen without government intervention. So that is the correct answer. And then the assumption of cost theorem. Question number five. Cost theorem assumes that there is transaction cost for negotiation among economic agents. There is no transaction cost for the negotiation among economic agents. Property rights are always given to the polluter. Property right is given either to the polluter or pollutee. And last one is both A and D. So assumption I have just shown in the slide. So